But yeah, like Chris said, this kind of rolls into topic two. So NXT is on Wednesday nights on USA. Check your local listings. But also there's another wrestling program on Wednesdays on TNT. AEW, All Elite Wrestling. They launched, what was it, 1 week, 2 weeks after NXT did on the network television. So they've been going.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're battling it out. And Kyle and I talked about this pre AEW network launch. Seemed like everybody and their mom is like, AEW is gonna change the world. So I just kind of want to know, like, general takes, like, what do you guys think about AEW? If you have any thoughts about it, and like, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Chris, I guess I'll start with you. What are your takes if you have any?
About AEW specifically,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that potential does exist for them to change the wrestling landscape,
Mm-hmm.
not just from like a market share aspect, but from a character development, making a different kind of wrestling appealing again, kind of a thing. I think right now their problem is that they don't have enough compelling characters. I really like a lot of what they do with the known characters they do have. Um, but a lot of the promo work doesn't seem cohesive to the storytelling, and allowing them to kind of go off the cuff for some while it works, for others it just doesn't connect with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because after a while you're just rambling, the rambling rabbit, right? And so I definitely think, though, once we start to see guys jump ship from, we already saw it with John Moxley. When we see them kind of cross over and start to do something that has that potential to captivate people, we may start to see a shift in the tide. Not that I think that it would happen, but if we had like a Seth Rollins or a Roman Reigns suddenly jump ship, that could really do something, just in terms of creating stories that are media worthy. If the top name of one company shows up in another, we have that WCW paradigm all over.
Right.
um i I really like Chris Jericho. He's hilarious. He just has that charisma where there are a few guys that are like this, but like, he could like read the Declaration of Independence and it would probably be hilarious, as dry as that is.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Lucha Bros.
Mm-hmm.
The Lucha Bros are fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Pentagon is, oh man, Cero Miedo. I love it. Jurassic Express. That is a really neat thing that had to grow on me, but I really like Luchasaurus. I like Luke Perry's kid. Was Jungle Boy?
Yep.
Luke Perry's kid. And then Marco Stunt is this new character that, like, he doesn't have the credibility of a Rey Mysterio, certainly, but I would like to see him pushed as a legit character. Like,
Mm-hmm.
have him develop his skill set and become a little bit more hard hitting, and have these guys sell it a little harder. And Margot Stunt could be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Let's see. This last week we saw the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny debut. And I have no idea who they are outside, I just at all, other than the girl that plays the bunny. She's on social
Allie.
media, Allie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about her wrestling wise, other than she's definitely not bad to look at. But they presented really well as a heel stable, and so they do have some things that are captivating, but overall it doesn't have that same like that captivating quality that like an early WCW did, because they lacked, like I said earlier, those characters.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So yeah, that's kind of my take on AEW.
Cool.
But the lexicon of Jericho is pretty sweet.
Kyle?
Yeah, it's my issue with AEW is people like to rag on WWE for being the same week to week.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I tune in or I see the results or see the upcoming card for that week, it's been the same. It's very same, and they have a lot of talent on the roster. So why am I seeing the same faces on TV every week? You would think they would want to push these new faces to get more people in. Like Private Party, I want Private Party more often on my screen. I don't want to keep seeing Elite, the Young Bucks versus SKU, SEU. Like
Mhm.
I don't want like this past week. This is what really bugged me, and this is me saying like I don't watch weekly that much. I like to like Brett. I like to keep up on Twitter and whatnot. But when I see that the Best Friends and Lucha Brothers have a thing going, and then this week they had um, Phoenix versus I think it was Chuck,
Mhm.
right?
Oh,
But
the
then
best friends, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's Chuck. I'm
Chucky
blanking on that.
T.
Yeah, Chuck and
Yeah.
T. But then like Pentagon was versing like Christopher Daniels, and it wasn't the other part of Best Friends, Trent. Like, why is that not a thing? Like, if there's those teams supposed to be feuding, why aren't each of them having their own singles match against each other?
Right.
Like, it's these little things, little tweaks that they need to figure out. And if they really want this whole win-loss record thing to count, like a loss should mean a lot. Like,
Right.
go all the way down to the bottom, and then other people get their shot. Like, I
Agreed.
don't feel like that's happening,
Mhm.
which is bumming me out.
Yeah.
If they really want me to tune in and they really want me to be into what they're doing, why are we not seeing a New Japan version of Kenny Omega versus Jericho versus Pac?
Yeah.
Like, those three guys should be pushed to the frickin' moon because all three of those guys are goers.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, if you're trying to create a character-centric story, those are the three guys that could all be viewed as the top guy.
Mhm.
You know, like, I don't know why. I mean, I like, oh my gosh, it's a hell of a time to blank. The guy with the half of his face painted.
Darby Allin?
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. The skateboard thing, I dig it. I skated
Yeah.
hard as a kid. I love it. You know, and there's more. I just feel like he came in, got squashed, he went out. You know, and I just feel like there's a lot more they can do with with the few characters they do have. But when you got Kenny Omega, like why isn't the Elite jumping Jericho? You know, like what's going on? Like, so anyway,
Absolutely,
yeah, just booking things. But yeah,
and not to mention like, where are the women at week to week? Right, like Britt Baker. Oh my God. Oh, I see her face, and now
she's
it's
doing.
Bea Priestley and like
yeah.
Nyla Rose and like all these awesome female wrestlers that they have. I feel like they need to push them a little bit more.
Yeah, they do
and
not
give them more
feature
screen
them.
time. No.
Yeah.
And like they made a huge point of having all these Japan women wrestlers on. The Joshis, I believe, is the like their big.
I think you're
movement,
right.
like, where they're from.
Yeah.
Give us a reason to care that you have them there. Like, why is it such a big deal that they're part of AEW? I feel like they haven't told me why it's so important that they're there and why. Like, I don't know. They need to push them a little bit harder.
They need Rhea Ripley.
I mean, honestly, it kind of sucks that Kylie Ray left.
Yeah.
Because like I loved seeing Kylie Ray on the AEW stuff that I did, and that's a big loss. That's another, I don't know.
Why was she a more believable Bailey?
Right? Yeah. I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know, Brett. What do you think?
Um,
AEW versus NXT thing.
okay.
Also, real quick, can we?
Yeah.
This is a problem. One of my biggest problems in the kind of wrestling group. I don't care about numbers. Just watch what you want to watch.
Yeah.
Stop posting how many people watch AEW versus NXT.
Oh, the ratings are close.
We're in the best time to watch pro wrestling. Just watch what you want to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care that 800,000 people watch AEW and NXT lost 20,000 people.
Yeah.
I don't care. They're both on TV. For me in New York, they're one channel away from each other. I just gotta press channel up or down, and they're both right there. So like, whatever. Like, I stop worrying about numbers. They don't impact you really. Just watch what you want to watch.
Right. Decide whether or not you're entertained.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah, so I did my homework. Not really. I started to do my homework before this podcast. I haven't watched any of the Dynamite episodes. I have not watched All In, All Out, whatever else they had. So, putting that out there now so everybody can hate on me later. I've only watched 2-3 episodes of AEW Dark, which, cool. I like it. I can watch this whenever I want and, get some matches that weren't aired. Sweet. Maybe it's just because it's the YouTube product and not their main product. I thought the matches were fine. I didn't think like it was anything like this is the newest thing, like the best thing since sliced bread. Like it was like, yeah, this is cool. There was one match that stood out in particular for me. I think it was episode 2, but it was Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela, and they had like an unsanctioned match. That one I enjoyed quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, through
They
obviously.
do a lot of those.
Oh yeah, it's
of
not gonna
unsanctioned
count on the
matches.
records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Anything regarding Moxley is gonna be.
Which, going back to your point, your guys' points earlier about the records, like if you're gonna have all these unsanctioned match, what's the point? Are we just gonna beat the shit out of each other? Okay, well, fine. That's gonna get old quick, but so yeah, to me, like at least watching those, I've been like, all right, cool. And there's a couple people who I recognize, like I recognize Kazarian, I recognize Christopher Daniels from when I did watch TNA, and then Omega I've known a little bit here and there, and Pac obviously I know, and Moxley. But yeah, like Kyle said with the women's division, but for me it's in general anybody. I'm like, who are you? What do I like? I need something here that kind of sparks something. And there was somebody in particular that did that for me. And Chris, you mentioned him earlier, but Luchasaurus. Like he's like, I'm like, yeah, let's go. All right, just seeing like the short clips online of like the things he can do. It's nuts. I'm like, all right, I'm sold on you. And then also watching AEW Dark, there was another guy. It's part of a tag team. I think it's hybrid whatever. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. But Jack Evans, I like him.
Oh, that
He's
team up. Yeah.
yeah. I don't like Angelico or what. I'm like, you're just a dude. Like he's got no character at all, at least that I can tell from
The
this.
dude that just like yells at the crowd a lot.
Yeah, Jack Evans, the little teeny guy. Yeah, him. I like him. Like, yeah, you're just getting in everybody's face. The first match I watched him, I think it was AEW Dark episode 1, but he did like launched himself over the ropes into the ring during their entrance, and he like face planted, and he's like got up all in a fluster, like I didn't do that, whatever. But I was like, okay, this guy's got character. I like him.
Yeah.
So for me, at least right now, like Kyle, like you said, it's just more wrestling. So why anybody would be upset against that or like upset against other products, like I don't get that. But yeah, it's more of what this is. It's not anything blowing anything out of the water, at least from what I've seen. So yeah, I don't know. I don't get why everybody or some people are like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever," and all that stuff. So I'm like,
yeah. Another thing that bugs me that they do is, they keep taking shots at WWE, and I understand that's like cool and hip to the audience, whatever. But for me, who has lived through the brand versus brand, company versus company thing already, I'm just kind of over it.
Yeah.
Like, just do your own thing. Stop pointing out like, oh, WWE's doing this or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, didn't they reference that Britt Baker was shown on Takeover?
Yeah, and they did that. They did
Did
that.
they have their own thing?
So they redid that on AEW just this past week. Britt Baker's in the ring, like this, and then the announcer was like, "Oh, that's Adam Cole's wife."
Yeah.
And it was good. It was well played.
Like that stuff, I don't mind. It's the constant nods to like, hey, look what we're allowed to do over here, or like stuff like that. That just kind of bugs me. And something that I do enjoy for AEW, I like most of their announced team. I think JR has lost his step, and that seems sacrilegious, but it's hard to listen.
Yeah.
To think that it was him and King for most of my wrestling life, it makes me sick because I can't stand Jerry and WWE.
Right.
And I can't stand him now. And JR is just, he's lost it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I like Excalibur a lot, and I love on the pay-per-views. I've watched All Out, and I've watched All In. I think I watched Fighter Fest, I think was their free one they did earlier this year.
Yeah.
I love that they got Golden Boy, and Golden Boy is awesome. I wish he was on every week. But yeah,
right. I agree.
Once that kind of solidifies and they get more into it, I'm sure it'll be better. But they got a lot going for them. It's gonna be fun to watch, especially when it gets closer to like Mania season.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna really ramp up and try to be like, hey, this is our big thing. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I agree with the announcing. I don't know. Some of it, like, they just kind of stumbled over words, it seemed, in general, as a team. Every once in a while, I was like, okay, that's off, or whatever. It just kind of took me out of it for a second, then dove back in. But yeah, I agree. Just do you. Be you. Be the best you can be, and don't worry about other people. And, like, I think that will be what helps them out than the other stuff.
It's good life advice.
Yeah.
It
so.
is.
Okay, then on the flip side of the coin, how do we feel? I mean, we've already kind of tooted NXT's horn, but how do we feel like they're doing with their change? Do you think they've changed with this competition? I guess how they've produced or put their product forward. I guess.
I don't see much of a difference in NXT
Okay.
since AEW's been around. I guess the whole invasion stuff
Uh-huh.
has kind of boosted it a lot recently, but that
Yeah.
kind of just thank God planes were held up in Saudi Arabia, or
Yeah.
else this probably would not have happened.
Good point.
Yeah, I would be shocked to see what they would have done if that did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would it just been another Raw vs. SmackDown Survivor Series?
Didn't they put a promo out before that with the gold of NXT though?
Oh, did they?
I
I'm
think
not,
so.
I'm not sure if they did.
I think I
I
remember
think you might be right.
Triple H
Okay.
teasing it, or like, wait a minute, are we involved in this or some shit? And then like, I don't know. But yeah, definitely that was the hope.
I personally do not see much of a change in NXT.
See, I'm gonna disagree. Now, I
Okay.
used to watch NXT every week when I was living out in California, and like, I think they've changed it a little bit. I'm not saying like the bigger stuff. Obviously, you're like the main, more established people, but there seems to be less of the like, this person's new and this is like a jobber-esque match. It seems less of that is going on. The product, when it was just network and Hulu, like, that seemed to be the case. Like, obviously, yeah, you got to build new talent, so they would have those matches every once in a while or whatever. Like, I remember when No Way Jose was first showing up, like, they had that whole thing where, oh, he's gonna do his dance, get pissed, baseball punch somebody, okay, we're done, we're gonna dance out, and that was it. And then, yeah, you'd get the main storyline at the end, like, they would go through and do that. But then again, that was also just an hour, so maybe it just felt like those were more prominent, the jobber-esque matches. So in that way, I'm seeing less of it, but also maybe it's, I don't know if they still have that, like, I don't know if Hulu cuts down on it, because that's how I've been watching or catching up recently, but maybe they just don't include those, and on TV they do. I don't know. Or maybe they're doing more of that in the Performance
I
Center.
know they have Cameron Grimes, I think, has been doing that for a little bit.
Oh, has he?
Their NXT
Okay.
Stars. He just comes in and he does like this reverse curve stop to your face, I think.
Yeah.
Is his finisher, and it's just 1, 2, 3, and he's done.
Gotcha.
So they're a couple of those short ones, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna agree with the last sentiment. Definitely, I think that they've turned it up a notch.
Mhm.
They consolidated their talent. Right, I believe Rhea Ripley was doing just the NXT UK stuff, right?
Mhm.
Prior
Yeah,
to
prior to
the
Survivor
AEW
Series.
launch.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, just the inclusion of her when they had already established Shayna Baszler for so long as the dominant force, and the next person up aside from Io Shirai was like Bianca Belair,
Mhm.
right? But Rhea Ripley adds, again, Rhea Ripley, all the things. So I think they definitely, that's one measure that they took to, up the bar, especially in light of the absence, like we were talking about, of a dominant women's division in AEW. I think featuring Finn Balor on NXT again definitely draws some eyes, because I mean, he's the first ever Universal Champion. He already has an established pedigree. Watching him, it's really hard to believe that this is a guy that's either approaching near or around like 40 years old. You'd think he was, someone in his mid to late 20s, fresh face, but this guy's been around the block a dozen times. And so to have him come in and explore that dynamic with the Undisputed Era and Tommaso Ciampa, again, now that we're discussing it, like, it really is like in contrast to what we're missing with AEW. Like I mentioned, Pac, Jericho, Omega, just that whole dynamic just makes it so much more compelling. And so, the will he join Undisputed Era or won't he kind of thing they had going for a couple weeks on NXT was really, shades of will Sting join the NWO from back in the day kind of a thing, and so I mean, and I do kind of wish Finn Balor had joined the Undisputed Era. I would have freaked out and then immediately demanded Undisputed Era versus the OC feud. But anyhow, I think they did take a few measures, featuring their notable guys like Matt Riddle, and now Keith Lee. Like I think that they've done the work of making compelling characters instead of just grabbing guys, which I kind of feel like AEW has done. They grab guys from Impact, New Japan, and then their own clique of guys, and we're just like, okay, we're just gonna ride the coattails of what we've already established. And NXT is now making that extra step in reinventing characters, putting them out. The only character that they have reinvented and put out that they've taken from the indies that is even remotely is Punishment Martinez, or what's his name now?
Damian Priest.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Anyhow, yeah, that's my take for sure.
Yeah, Kyle mentioned Cameron Grimes. I'm interested to see what they do with him, because I didn't watch Impact while he was there, but it seemed like he was like fire. Like
I don't know how I've missed this character.
Yeah, so he was.
I might have the name wrong. Is it Cameron Grimes?
It is Cameron Grimes, and then like I said, he was Trevor Lee over in Impact. He's a old friend of the Hardys, like one of their guys they worked with at in Omega. I think he's their son or something.
Okay. But
yeah, he's got like a. I saw the foot stomp once in NXT. He's got like this steampunky esque look. He's got a top hat with glasses, and that's all I can really think.
He's like a Bayou steampunk guy.
Yeah, I think he compete in like one of their tournaments too recently. I don't know.
Rising Stars.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll be catching up. I'm gonna check out some YouTube videos. I do miss the Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, he's out with injury, right?
Right, but I mean, has so much potential and just fits has a look that appeals to a demographic that I'm sure they could take advantage of at this point in terms of business. And he's a fantastic wrestler.
Yeah,
he's so good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best off the top, turnbuckle elbow drops since Randy Savage. Anyway.
Yeah.
I was so upset when he got kicked off Tough Enough when he was a contestant.
Oh yeah.
Just because he was had a little bit of an ego. I was like, God, he's the perfect fit. Like, I can't wait to see him, and thank God he stuck with it and they re-signed him because they obviously saw that in him because he's perfect. I love that he is such a fan. Velveteen Dream is such a fan of pro wrestling that he takes former guys' stuff and uses it as his own moveset.
Oh yeah,
I love
that. Incorporates it into his tights and his takeover intros and.
Oh my God, I love the call me up Vince. That was so good.
It's ballsy.
Yeah, it is.
Good thing that first gimmick they tried to push on him didn't work. He was just Patrick Clark, and he had red, white, and blue trunks with an eagle on it. That was it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember that for a few weeks. Oh boy. All right. Well, cool. So Wednesdays, check it out. We'll see where it goes down the road. I mean, we're only like a month or two in, so it's still early. Still some momentum could be built or whatever.
If AEW can have their outsiders moment, where you have two dominant guys. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be two, but that. Yeah. There's potential there.
I mean, Moxley did it like you said at the beginning. So.
And then from just a business sense, again, iron sharpens iron. And so just having the competition at some point is, they've already started to do that obviously with NXT, but it's going to force their hand to do things more creatively once there's more of a competition. So
absolutely.
I like the potential for that.
Yeah. Look at PlayStation versus Xbox.
Yeah.
Like PS3 era PlayStation was not great, and then they learned because Microsoft pushed them to their limits, and PS4 has been such a huge success. Like, if one is good, it'll just make the other one better.
For sure.